Hello everybody, welcome back to Culz Reviews. This week we're checking out History's Greatest Mysteries, Season 1, Episode 5, Roswell, The First Witness, and this one's Part 1, The Journal. As usual, my name's Keegan. Joining me tonight is
Sam.
Matt.
So if you're up to date on our channel, you obviously know Roswell's been a story we've covered before, and if you've kept in touch with our other social media accounts such as Instagram or Facebook or Twitter, we're going back. So we definitely wanted to check out these 3 episodes, so just to try to get some more up-to-date information with some new science, some new research, some new findings, and I definitely think it's well worth the watch. We'll get into more why later, but that's kind of the reasoning. Obviously, we got a lot of time, but we really wanted to take our time this time and really be able to sit through, enjoy, really think over this stuff, unlike last time when we kind of had to rush everything pre-Roswell. But like I said, if you want to check out some of our earlier stuff, including Sam's first weekly abductions episode on it, click that link above now. And when we do get around to making some more, or even a small series about it, another link will appear there. So we're going to go into it and kind of discuss what this episode was about. What was kind of the overall theme of this episode?
Pretty much was just about the very beginning of, what some of the very first witnesses or people on scene might have seen.
Another big thing that you see in the title is this journal, and it's Jesse Marcel. He was obviously the first military witness to the crash. Obviously you have Mac Brazel, who obviously we've talked about. We went to the ranch site. We didn't go to the actual site, but at the time we got as close as we could without, going on private property. But yeah, Jesse Marcel was this first witness, military witness, and his family, Jesse Marcel III and his brother and sister, they have found this journal in their grandfather's possessions. And what's really strange about it is up till around the time of Roswell, it's really nice, neat, organized, cursive. And then after, it's not neat and nice. It's really kind of printed, almost sloppy, and almost like a code, because it reads just random sayings, and like he says, it's almost like a Reader's Digest type of thing.
Said it was like song quotes or movie.
Yeah, like
quotes.
one of the things was 2 half-brothers make one, or something like that. So just random things that don't make sense. But then, yes, the rest of it just is kind of building pre-Roswell, some of the sightings or accounts of things that were going on that were kind of strange. The first incidents, and more on time in Corona, because we know, because we've been out there, the crash site is much closer to Corona, New Mexico than Roswell. But Corona didn't have the sheriff and everything. So when he went into town, they're like, oh yeah, but you have to go call the Roswell sheriff. And that's kind of why it's linked to Roswell. Plus, the military bases in Roswell. So that's where all the stuff was taken. And that's why it's kind of taken on that moniker. So without getting into spoilers, because we'll do that at the end. That way, if you guys want to watch it, we just want to give you guys the opportunity. Without getting into spoilers, is there anything you guys took away or just thought of this overall presentation?
It made me think more about the real possibilities of it being probably more true than what I've led up to believe from after watching other documentaries. I think it gave me a little bit more insight to a little more depth, some of the findings or what's been found or what's been said.
Yeah, it's definitely different when you hear it from historians and stuff versus this one. You're still hearing historians and hearing people with PhDs and stuff, but you're also hearing it from maybe not locals at the time, but locals as far as their families were there at the time. Or the one lady towards the end, she actually went to school with D. Proctor, who was the small kid, I think he was 8 or 9 at the time, that was actually with Mac Brazel. So it's really, really good all the time, I think, to hear those first person or at least handed down stories. Because, we need that. We need to go off that, because what else do we have, really?
True.
Sam, anything that you took away from this one?
The fact that they're digging and like looking into the site more in depthly with more high-tech equipment that they didn't have previous times that they've tried.
Yeah, as far as like the techniques they're using for this, I mean, it's definitely top notch. A lot of painstaking, and I'll kind of use Sam's too for mine. Is it's just so fascinating looking at all the technology, like just to think how far we've come and like all the small little steps they're taking, whether it be handwriting, checking the papers. When they go out in the field, they got the drones, they're mapping, they're testing, the magnetism, radiation levels, all that kind of stuff to really build this picture. And very small steps, very scientific, very thorough. And so, if you have hope for any of the Roswell investigations, this seems like the one,
Well, and you also see the old-fashionedness of it too, like, although as long ago as this was, the grid systems were still in place where, they did the old-fashioned grid, and they were like, oh yeah, no, you'll find a lot of this, but this was how we gridded it. I always was under the impression that, they would just have a map and they would drop a little pin on a map somewhere and say, oh yeah, this is kind of roughly where we found it, but to hear that even, in the 1940s, they were very detail-oriented where they had a grid system. They could, on a map, be like, yeah, exactly right here in this spot.
Yeah, very fascinating. And we're going to get into spoilers, so before we do that, we're just going to give our recommendations and ratings. So starting with you, Matt, would you recommend it and what would you rate it?
Yeah, I would recommend it to check it out. 9.5.
9.5, okay. Sam?
I'll definitely do 10, as always. That stuff is fascinating, and there was probably something at play that happened back then, but a lot of people were too scared and still kind of are too scared to mention anything.
Yeah, we'll get to that in spoilers, but
I do
there's still
recommend
people
it.
still scared.
Mm-hmm.
But for me, I'd say 10. Most of the history's greatest mysteries, I'd probably give a 10. It's just very thorough, very well researched. So definitely recommend and rate it at 10. Alright, so you guys are going to be warned now. Spoilers, so if you don't want to be spoiled, click off it, go watch it. It's on History Channel, on demand, stuff like that. Matt, anything spoiler-wise you want to talk about?
Just the journal being authentic, that, there really could be more to it. I want to now really check out the next episodes to see if there was code talk or, any type of warning or rush or some indication that, there might be a cover-up or conspiracy here.
Yeah, and so that's definitely the big revelation at the end is, unlike some other high-profile ones, like they used in this case the Hitler diaries, there's another one that is possibly a Jack the Ripper that I'm pretty sure at this point they've said was a forgery as well, but this one is at least of the time, and it's written by the same person, so definitely huge revelation, and so that really makes episode 2 what's in this, that's really good. Sam, what about you?
No, for me, it will be what they find in the soil, if they notice anything in the kind of spot that they found, or if it's just normal, earthly functions.
And they definitely noticed some unusual readings at one of the spots where they thought, originally when they were doing kind of the mapping with the drone, they didn't really find it, but when they did the magnetism and radiation, they did find some interesting readings, so it's going to be fun really diving into that and seeing what comes of it.
What's great about technology now is like to see the way they sent the drones up, and they sent the drones up with the heat sensor almost, like where they could see if there were any hot spots.
Sure.
And then to have, not that it wasn't around then, maybe they really never thought to use it, but the metal readers, the readers that features radiation, and then be able to pinpoint how deep it is, where it is.
Mm-hmm.
Again, technology might forever change a lot of these stuff going back into the history,
Yeah, and the spot that they are searching at now is actually pretty far from the spot that they first dug in back in 2002 and 2006. It's in a different location, so.
And that's the hard part. We've experienced it. We've been out in that area of Corona. It's flat. It all looks the same. So modern researchers, not really knowing the exact coordinates, they know the coordinates of the whole debris field, but without knowing where it started, that's where it was hard. So now with modern technology, like they said, they're able to pinpoint this stuff. And so, yeah, I mean, I think we're all excited episode 2 to see what we get into. It definitely, they're building up some stuff. It looks like they're definitely going to crack more into the journal. At the end of the episode, another witness with material was given. So I think we're definitely hearing more about that. So I think this is going to get even more in depth, because it looks like at least episode 2 is maybe opening even more questions, and that's probably why there's a third one. I mean, it's a rabbit hole within a rabbit hole. Like, it's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
So any final things before we end off this episode?
No, check it out for sure.
Yep.
Definitely a must watch.
Must watch.
I would agree.
Highly recommend.
Yep, absolutely.
And like we said, we'll be back. We got some time before Roswell, so this ain't going to be our only Roswell stuff, but we're definitely hitting these 3. It might be a week or so before we get to episode 2, but keep your eye out. We'll get there. And like we said at the beginning, check out that link if you want to see some of our earlier Roswell stuff. We'll link it in the description below as well. And keep your eyes peeled. Come July, August, you'll see some more Roswell stuff. I think we're all pretty excited to get back, especially it's a little bit more open. Unfortunately, our timing wasn't the best last time because of COVID. Things outside our control you couldn't really plan for. So, hey, we're excited. So if you guys want to see more Culz reviews, click that link in front of my face. If you want to see more about what we're doing here at Culz Paranormal, click that link in front of Matt's. And don't forget to like and give us a
Subscribe.
And switch that notification bell from personalized to all if you want to be notified on all of our videos.
And let us know 2 things. 1, what do you make of the Jesse Marcel Journal? And 2, what do you think happened in Roswell?